One of the most important exercises that you can learn to restore your core is to activate your lower abdominal muscles, or your transverse abdominis that runs right here on the lower part of your stomach. You can put your fingers on the front of your pelvis, slide them forward, and you should feel the muscle tighten under your stomach. You can also think about pulling your belly button towards your spine, or even doing a Kegel will help you find those muscles. So it looks like this. And you should feel those muscles tighten up underneath your fingers if you're doing it correctly. What you don't want to see is flaring your ribs or sucking your stomach in. That means you're using the wrong muscles. So that would look more like this. And you can see how my spine is moving and I'm tucking my pelvis. That's what you don't want to see. You also don't want to just fill your stomach with air to make those muscles hard. So that looks more like this. So again, the correct movement is just tightening your lower part of your stomach. You can try the cues of pulling these two bones together, or pulling your belly button towards your spine, or even doing a Kegel will help you find those muscles. And then if you are still having trouble, I like to move people onto their side to try it. And then just practice pulling your belly button towards your spine, like that. And if you're doing it correctly, you're not going to move your back at all. If you're doing it incorrectly, it would look like this. And then if you're still having trouble, one of my favorite ways is on your hands and your knees. I like to have people really relax their stomach. And then from there, pull your belly button towards your spine. It should look similar to this without any movement in your back. If you're doing it incorrectly, it would look like this. And again, correctly, no movement in your back or pelvis. So here's a series of lower abdominal strengthening exercises. So a few exercises that you can do to strengthen your transverse abdominis muscle, which is the muscle I taught you how to find and how to activate in the last video. So these series are going to go from easiest to most difficult so that you can transition yourself when you feel you're able to do it correctly. So the first one, a good starting exercise, is called heel slides. So again, you're going to activate that lower abdominal muscle. Keep it activated as you slide your heel down. First step is just one heel at a time. You don't want to see any movement in your low back. No movement in your low back or your pelvis. So you don't want it to arch off the mat. Use that muscle to keep your back still. When you can do it one leg at a time easily, then you can transition to doing it two legs down without any back movement or any pelvic rocking. Pelvic rocking would look like this. So again, use that muscle to keep everything still as you move. The next exercise in the series is called bent knee fallout. So for that one, you're going to activate your lower abdominal muscle and then slowly let one leg fall halfway out to the side and bring it back up. I usually have people do about 5 on each side. You don't want to move in your low back. and you don't want to let your other hip come up off the mat as you go to the side. No movement through your low back or rocking in your pelvis. If the exercise is too hard or you're doing it incorrectly, it would look like this. That opposite hip is likely gonna pop up off the mat. Keep nice and still by using your lower abdominal muscle to support your low back as you move. The next exercise in the series is called a supine march. So again, all starts with activating your lower abdominal muscle. You're gonna lift one knee at a time, not letting your back move at all off the mat. This is what it looks like if you're doing the exercise correctly. When you've got the hang of lifting one knee at a time, you can then transition to lifting two. One knee up, keep your core tight, then bring the other one up. No movement through your low back, and no doming or pressure along your abdominal wall. Incorrect would look similar to this. Likely when you lift the second leg, if this is too difficult for you, your back will arch up off the mat and your stomach would dome. Incorrectly or too hard would look like this. And correctly stabilizing would look like this. No movement in your low back. The next exercise in the series is called Tabletop heel taps. So you start with both knees up, and this is the hardest exercise in the series. Activate your core, keep your back flat as you drop one heel down. If this is too hard, you can use a yoga block or a box or something to decrease the range that you have to tap down. Keep your core tight and your back flat as you drop. If it's too hard, it'll look like this. With the stomach doming and your back arching off the mat.